All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's been a while. It doesn't feel like a while. It's time's gone by so fast, but I was sick last week, so I didn't do a show. So maybe this week we'll do two shows. But I've been really busy with all of the new tools. I'm finally able to build for TRI. I will show a little bit of them today. But it's new age, golden age, I would call it. Very exciting, almost as exciting as what's happening with the market here. They they're determined to screw over as many shorts as possible, because a lot of people are the fear and greed index is very high right now, right? So a lot of people are probably shorting or buying puts, and the best way to make sure that people don't make money is to only drop the market when nobody's really awake or paying attention. Hello, Ucha. Good to see you. And that's basically what they've been doing, right? So if we go to the 1 hour chart, right? So the market opened, big gap down, went down a little bit further, and then it's just been rallying since. So anybody that woke up in Europe and the US, they're probably like, oh, well, on the daily chart, it looks terrible, so we're probably going to crash. And they're shorting. So instead, the market rallies. And that should tell you everything you need to know about the market, at least on a lower time frame. On a higher time frame, this looks like a disaster, and it should roll over. And we're going to get into more of that a little bit later, based on the new tools that I've made. So these two tools are basically finished. So stay tuned. I'm going to talk about them maybe in like 15, 20 minutes, and we'll go through that. And that's why this episode is called The Great Rotation, because there has been a capital rotation event going on. Credit to this guy on Twitter called North Star Bad Charts. I'm sure you guys have seen him. He's been talking about this capital rotation event forever. I took a little bit of inspiration from some of his stuff to make what I made and modernize it. And I can't wait to show you guys in a little bit, and also to show you the other tool I came up with, which is a macro and liquidity tool combined. Because if you do deep analysis into the market, like if you, okay, so 810% in 36 months. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think they're printing a lot of money. I don't know if I'd touch that. Maybe we can look at it. I don't really focus on foreign markets, but we could. Like, what is Tel Aviv? Tel Aviv. Is it the KSM? Tel Israel's. I don't know what I would look up. Let me see. Israel stock market index. Okay, TLV. I don't even know how most people watching this would trade it, but we can. See, there's no Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. Here we go. Look at this thing. Up only. What the hell? Look, it's a nice W breakout. This was a consolidation for 2 years, and then massive breakout. And now it's sitting at 16.88. You can see how it paused. Here it paused 8.77, 4.669, and now it's rejecting at 16.88. I don't know why there's no data before 2019, but it certainly looks like it goes only in one direction. I think they do print a lot of money, so that might have something to do with it, just maybe a little bit. How much is, you said it's up like 800% and since 2024? 650%. 800% sounds like a headline. If you bought like the major bottom, you would have gotten 800%. Anyway, I'm getting distracted now with this. If you were looking at this on a 2-week chart or even a weekly, it might Might be a good time to short it. Maybe actually there's like no divergence here. Breakdown on RSI, but almost no divergence. Yeah, I'm not. That sounds. I'm not. I don't think that has anything to do with it. They maybe print a lot of money. I'm not sure. Who knows? Maybe the economy is just doing really well. I'm not gonna get into this because there's no way to. Most people don't trade it. Anyway, okay. So the S&P is the main thing that people can trade and do trade, and that's what I want to talk about. In relation to the capital rotation event. Okay. So the first. So something to keep in mind. You know what? I'm just gonna pull up my tools because that will help me explain this easier. So this is the first tool, and you guys are welcome to give me feedback on it. We can always update it, but basically this capital rotation score, which is down here, and it's just everything compared to gold, right? So if over a 12-month period, gold flips whatever that asset is, eventually once it flips all of them, you have what's called the capital rotation event. And actually the cycle for capital rotation event starts when 6 out of the 12 are like have flipped. So that happened almost 7 years ago, and now we're in like we had 8 or 9, and then recently we had the full 12. So now we're at like the peak capital rotation event zone, and we actually don't have a lot of time left, but that's when things get really crazy. So if we look at this chart, where are we in the cycle? So the capital rotation event has only happened 2 other times. Okay, so 1972 and 2022. Okay, those were the main like peaks. Now 2026 to 2027 is looking like the next peak. So if we extrapolate this to like if you, how can I explain this in a way you guys understand? Let's go down. So if we go down here, right? So how is this calculated? It's all by ratios, by looking at the peak in 1980 and the peak in 2011. Those were the peaks, and then we took a conservative midpoint estimate of that, and then this is like a bigger explanation where you have to look at M2 and how much money they printed. You have to adjust for CPI, consumer purchasing power, and the consumer price index, sorry, and then Dow gold ratio. How many ounces of gold are needed to buy 1 Dow unit? That all of this helps to equalize and provide estimates for where we could go. So gold, for example, on the conservative estimate, it's already reached the target, right? So we already hit that target, but silver didn't, still has 50% to go. It could still double basically. And then oil, actually oil was only $57 only a couple days ago and was massively undervalued. The target is like $200. It's crazy if you compare it to the past 2 events. So like you can see here, oil, if we go to, yeah, here's oil. So in 1971, 1980, oil went up 1,200%, and then in 2001, 2011, it went up 700%. So right now we're only at 200%, which means we have quite a bit more to go. Same with silver, but you can see with gold, yeah. So if we half it, so this only went up. Actually, these could be somewhat aligned. Like I said, I just made this, and we're going off historical norms, but I am seeing something interesting here that I'm going to look into more later about declining percent increases. So this is like only increased by a quarter, and then this is half, and this is half. So we could maybe, these could be overestimated, but I did try to pick the most conservative based on where we ended up before. And if I switch this, so this was all equalized, and you have the 1972 and you have the 2001, and you could see how we're kind of tracking as a midpoint. But if we just went with even the conservative estimate, in the beginning of 2007 here, it's saying right around February 2007, we could peak out with gold. right? And then we kind of slowly roll over. So this is like the acceleration period according to historical norms. Silver, you can see we massively took off. 1972 is cut off, by the way, because of some market manipulation by the guys called the Hunt brothers. Hello, Hector. And you can see in 2002, we peaked in the equivalent of 2028. So, and if we match that, we'll go to 164. So we have to, of course, still look at the charts, but I think it's interesting to look at these cycles and kind of make a comparison. So with oil, you can see it's a bit messier, but we're way down here compared to 2002 and 1972. We should be somewhere in this midpoint, like between 150 and 200. And we could reach there if the current crisis continues, right? And then the S&P, this is the reason I wanted to bring up this chart, because the S&P is the craziest thing. Look at what happened in 2002, 2002 compared to now. The market hasn't rolled over even a little bit. It's just been going straight up. So at this current point in the cycle, the other two were almost half the valuation, which is what concerns me, honestly, because this looks like a disaster on a weekly chart. This doesn't look good at all. And this is what is supposed to happen in a capital rotation event, where metals, oil, gold, metals, oil, commodities in general skyrocket, and the market is supposed to roll over. So if we go back, right, to the 2000s, let me just go to a 2-week chart. This doesn't even go back to that. Damn. Look at how it's gone straight up, by the way. You guys see that? It's gone basically straight up. We'll use this chart. So let's go to monthly. Okay. So this was basically the capital rotation event, right? So we had the big run up. Let me put this on a log scale so it looks a little bit more normalized. Okay, so you can see this was basically our run up. We've had a big run up and no capital rotation event. Here was the equivalent. 1994 to 2000. Actually, it's even before that. It was from the 80s. We had the big run up, 80s, 90s, and then the top out in 2000, and then the capital rotation event and the rollover, and then this is what happened with the market. And then what normally happens in capital rotation events is you get, after the initial rollover, you get 5 to 10 years where the market doesn't really break out, right? So that's what happened. And really, if you held, it took you until 2013 for your portfolio to really take off. Like if you bought here, it took 13 years for your portfolio to exceed where it was back in 2000. But this is a giant W, right? So if we, actually this chart, I don't have the, go to this one. Now, why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because this is a big deal. And if the market is at, there's a TD9 here on the monthly chart, right? This is not a good thing. On top of, I mean, this is why I went crazy spending like 20 hours making this, okay? This is a big deal. And the data is all here to see, right? You can look all this stuff up yourself about the effects of capital rotation events, and we can see the cycles. Now, it's only happened twice. This is the third time, but it is a documented effect, and we can see it happening in real time. It is happening. We're not at the beginning or even the midpoint. We're at the end of this thing, where the most volatility happens. Okay. So if I go back here and we go back to our monthly chart, right? Get rid of this. Okay. I actually want to get rid of these. Okay. And we go here. I also want to get rid of that. Okay. So we can extrapolate to there, right? Or we can go to here, or we can be more conservative. So we can be very conservative, and we can say that we hit the 8.77 right here, and that was it. Or we can expand it, and we can say, okay, we hit 4.669 here, and 8.77 is here, and we may or may not hit it. But you can see how when we hit 4.669, it did reject, and you could squish this, and you could say that it was actually like this, and then that's why this level here acted as a major resistance once we rolled over. Regardless, if we get something like a capital rotation event, right, how much did this decline? 46%, right? So if we get something like that, we're going to go back down here to 360, right? So that's something to keep in mind, and you can see the divergence on the monthly chart. And if we look at the monthly chart here, right, it had the same divergence. See this? See 1999 to 2000? It's not like it came out of nowhere. You had that divergence, right? And then here, but here you also had the divergence, right? And it never played out. The market went higher. So here is basically your second divergence. You don't have an RSI breakdown yet. And I'm not saying the crash is going to happen right now. This chart doesn't look good, right? I like showing this one because I feel like it makes it more clear that we broke down. This doesn't look good, and the weekly especially looks bad. However, there is something happening right now that didn't necessarily happen back here, okay? Because this area was kind of the birth of QE, and then this is the mastering of it. And this is where interesting stuff comes in. So, okay, I built this capital rotation tracker, which is going to push updates to Discord and stuff. You'll get updates if anything changes. And I'm still refining like what's going to be pushed to Discord, because there's just so much noise out there that I don't want any noise. I want only stuff that matters. If it doesn't matter, I don't care about it. I don't want to show it. I'm going to use everything here myself. So I'm only going to show you guys what, or send to you what I think actually matters. Now here's the next chart, okay? Macro. Everyone, you see tons of posts all over Twitter talking about macro. This macro, that macro, this thing is happening. Look, I looked at 90 different macro indicators, okay? And most of them don't work. They don't. They just don't. I tested all of them. I went back as far as I could in history, and I compared every single little thing. I went, okay, if this happened, tell me what happened in the market after 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. Where was the market? How accurate were any of these over 60 years? Almost all of them were semi-inaccurate. Hello, Raw Honey Jar. So you can't, be careful when you see people talking about macro on Twitter, because like okay, so if we go down here, what doesn't work? So yield curve inversion, you know, markets often rally 12 to 18 months after the yield curve inversion, and they don't roll over. Leading economic indicators, put call ratios, you know, it doesn't work. Cap-Shiller PEs, it doesn't work anymore with quantitative easing. Consumer sentiment, it's just random noise. You can look at this stuff on the chart. I made a chart so you can look at all the events and you can see how consistent it is. These are just like the top ones that I see people talking about on Twitter all the time. And I go in through the methodology and everything I went through to test this. This one I spent probably 30 to 40 hours at least on this. Okay, now here's the thing. There are some macro indicators that work. There are. So this is the macro chart where you can look at, you know, what actually worked. Let me compress this a bit. And seem to call events. So if we zoom in, right, and I can cherry pick, right? So let's see here. So here is the COVID crash, right? Actually, before the COVID crash, you had major macro degradation and then eventually the rollover. You went into the sell territory. This is sell. And then we rolled over. And then look what happened. When you rolled over, we went massively into the buy. And if you had this, you would have known, okay, buy, buy, buy. But then you could see as it continued, things fell apart again, and then the market kind of rolled over. But it was way too early here, right? Right here, it's way too early in 2021. Okay, so what is the other thing that caused macro used to work very well? So if we go back, this chart only goes back to 2000. The data goes back to 1960, but I didn't include it because it caused some issue with the chart was loading slower, so I wanted to just cut it off at 2000 because that's really what matters now. But before like quantitative easing and all this central bank policies, macro worked better. Now it doesn't work as well. That's the problem. Now you have to look at liquidity. That's the big thing. So if macro and liquidity agree, right? If you have both, it works much better. But if you have negative macro but liquidity is supportive. So the reason I'm talking about all this is because right now liquidity is actually really supportive. I'm looking at a ton of different liquidity indicators, and they're saying liquidity is telling us that the market's not going to crash. It's not. Liquidity is fine. It's up here. It's been up here for a while. You can see here they actually cut the liquidity. Look at this, 2025. Pumped it, and then they cut it right here. Look at this drop. And then look at what happens to the market. And it continued to drop until right here. And then they started pumping it again. And you see how it pumped again. And now it's just been a kind of, if you drew a trend line on this, it kind of has been just a consistent upline. Maybe I'll add a feature to draw trend lines. That might be kind of useful, right? So you have to look at both of these things. And I think most people don't. They just look at, trading view. Where is it? Trading view and price. But this is all manipulated, okay? And it's all related to this stuff here. And some of it's macro and some of it's liquidity. But look at the macro, right? So do you remember last year everyone was super bearish? You guys remember? Everyone was bearish last year. Like the macro environment, we know that the macro environment is shit. And it is shit. Look at the system says macro is terrible. And it actually started declining here. Here was your divergence in 2024. Okay? Now keep in mind, this is not every macro indicator. This is just the ones that I tested that actually work. It's only like 15 different ones. Okay? There's like 90 different things you can look at. But these are the 15 that show they have a track record of consistency. So you can see things really fell off and the market had a pullback, but that pullback aligned with liquidity. When they were pumping the liquidity, even though macro was heading lower, the market still was heading higher, which is kind of like right now. They're pumping the liquidity, macro fell off a cliff and is crappy, and the market is just kind of levitating, staying up here because it has so much liquidity. We don't have any referral codes at this time. We're working on that. It's coming. So that's why I made the combined index, which should provide good data points. And you also have these like stars that are buys and then warnings. So you got a warning in 2025 and then it rolled over, and then you got a potential buy and then the actual buy. And then you had a sell here and a warning. And obviously the market kept going higher though. That was because of you had a bit of a rollover in liquidity, and also macro dropped off a cliff, but it continued because of the liquidity. Does this make sense what I'm saying, guys? Do you have any questions? Like this is, all of this is connected and it matters. And it would be very hard. Yeah, I would wait. Give me another week because we're totally redoing a lot of stuff, and I have a ton of things coming. Like this is just macro stuff, and this is telling you the higher time frame and what's happening over a year, 6 months. But we've got the scanner coming. I haven't even showed you guys the scanner. Okay, I posted a little bit about it in our Discord, but we've got a crypto scanner, we've got a stock scanner. Both of them, absolutely dominated the stock market and the crypto market over the past 15 to 20 years. And trust me, I tested everything. I looked at look ahead bias. I made sure to include trading costs, everything you could possibly think of. I included in it to make it as terrible as possible. You could be on the worst exchange with the highest fees. It would have still easily beat buy and hold. So I have, and that was just to test it. I don't want to call it a signal system. It's a scanner. So you get trade ideas on a weekly basis. Although sometimes it doesn't give you any trade ideas. So for example, since basically here in December, it's given no signals on the stock market because it's a long only system, and the stock market is not healthy right now according to the scanner. So the scanner is not going to give you any trades. But for crypto, it's given a bunch of short trades that have made a lot. They've done very well. I'll go into that and show it more next week. And people in the Discord, if you're in the Discord, you're gonna see some of that coming soon. But anyway, on the macro thing, do you guys have any questions? Because this was a big thing, combining macro and liquidity. And I don't think you can find it anywhere right now. I haven't seen anyone on Twitter or anywhere else that combines like 90 different indicators plus 10 different liquidity indicators plus a little bit of a sentiment indicator. But by the way, this sentiment indicator, so I can turn this on, but you can see how noisy it is, right? So this is the fear and greed. You can see how it's like kind of all over the place. So this is greed. Okay, market kept going up. This is fear. Okay, you could have bought here, and I guess you would have caught a bit of a bounce. But you can see on a chart, it's not like a big thing. And now we're in fear again. I included it because so many people like to talk about it, but really is pretty noisy. You can see how hard it would be to follow and catch things. So I kind of just put it as a toggle. Okay, so on macro and liquidity, no questions for sure. To me, this is a big thing, but maybe you guys don't really think so. You like my gauges? I especially like the glowing colors. I'm trying with this to cut through the noise. There's with AI now, especially, there's just too much information everywhere. I'm tired of it personally. I just want what works. Okay, this works, that works. Let's focus on that. Yeah, Zerkella, as a veteran member, you're gonna get special pricing, especially on the scanner tools. All of it's gonna be for the scanner. So I'm not gonna name any prices right now, but for the scanner, because it works so well on crypto, and because crypto markets are not as liquid as the like S&P 500, so the stock one trades on the S&P 500, very liquid, but the crypto one, it trades on the crypto markets, like the top 500 to 1,000 coins, which are still not that liquid. Like if somebody with millions of dollars joins and they start taking the signals, it's coins are going to rally off those signals and the system's going to degrade. So I'm thinking that I'm only going to limit. We're going to limit to like 100 to 200 people. That's it. But anyone who's a veteran is going to get like the introductory price. That's gonna be quite a bit cheaper than anyone that's not like a TRI veteran or something. But don't worry about that. I'm gonna probably trial it for free for 2 months. Everyone can use it for free for 2 months, and then you decide if it's worth it or not. I'm not gonna like charge upfront about it for it. I would prefer people try it, and then like just the money you make from using it, you can use that for your membership. But I'm not gonna let a lot of people use it. It's gonna be shut down to like 100, 200 people just because it works too well, and I don't want it to be degraded, if you know what I mean. I'm gonna use it myself. Yeah, basically for veterans. Okay, so these are just 2 tools. I have 3 different scanning systems coming that are going to scan the market all the time and give you updates. The crypto one will be on a 4-hour rolling update window. The stock one will be on a daily window. I was going to have a day trading tool for like options and stuff, but every single thing I've tested, it doesn't really work. Like it'll work for 3 months, 6 months, but then after like two years, eventually it just degrades and it's not worth it. It's better to just trade. I don't think it's worth it to trade options for the most part. Just to tell you guys, options are mostly a scam. You can sell them and collect credit. I think that kind of works. But if you're in a capital rotation event and the market rolls over and you're selling options, you might kind of get screwed. Okay, hopefully that explained things well regarding the capital rotation event and how I think it's going to impact the S&P and the rest of the market. Oh, I forgot to mention. So we have another page coming that is kind of crappy right now, but it's a Bitcoin cycle page where I map out the Bitcoin cycle. Into the Cryptoverse, Ben at Into the Cryptoverse, he has something similar. It's pretty good. And I drew inspiration from that, but I'm trying to make an improved, easier to understand version. Like so something I've noticed, every site, every trading tool, they have too much stuff. They have too much. Like if you go to something like Mentor Q, right? Or you go to Unusual Whale, like let's do Unusual Whales, right? Unusual Whales. Let me just click on images. So this is simple, but this is the main thing that everyone uses. They just use this, the market tide, right? But Unusual Whales has all this other stuff and tons of options on the left-hand side. If I load up, if I go back and I load up the site, right? No, I want Unusual Whales. Okay, here. Flow data. Yeah, look at this. This is insane, the options they have. It is crazy. There's too much of everything. So I don't want to be like that, okay? And I can't. Unusual Whales is a massive company. I'm just one person. I mean, Sjord's helping me, but a lot of this I'm doing on my own. So I don't want something like this. This is not, and I've seen people who use it. They struggle with things. I want only stuff that really helps and really works. Capital rotation tracker, it works. Macro index, liquidity and macro, it works. It's useful. And then you don't have to pay attention to all the economic events and all the news that comes out. You just look at this. Okay, what's going on with this line? Is it going down or up? Okay, what's going on with liquidity? Is it going up or down? I don't have to figure out who's pumping or putting what into the market. This calculates all of it for you. You don't have to think about any of it anymore. You can get updates in our Discord, and then that's it. You save a lot of time. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to spend all my time trying to figure out what's happening in the market and deciphering the voodoo. I just want to see a line. So the other thing is crypto. And there's a lot of confusion about what's going to happen with Bitcoin or this or that. Into the Cryptoverse with Ben, he has some cool ideas. But he also has, if you look at his site, is like 100 different tools. It's, again, confusing. But there's only like 1 or 2 in his videos he really refers to. Those are the best tools. But I saw room for improvement, and I'm improving on those concepts and taking, the main thing is making sure whoever joins and is following along with these tools doesn't waste time. Okay? That's the main thing. I don't want to waste time, and I don't want you guys to waste time. I want you to be able to do other stuff, and then you just get an alert on Discord, and you just check 1 or 2 pages, and boom, you're done. That's it. You 5 minutes a day. That's my goal with the whole system. Okay. I'm just talking about it because I'm excited. I don't actually, if you guys want to sign up when it comes out, you can. But like I said, for current TRI veterans, we'll probably do like 1 or 2 months free, just so you can try it out and decide if you like it or not. And if you don't, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Okay, let's talk about Bitcoin, right? What is going on with Bitcoin? So I actually wanted to pull up my Bitcoin system and show you really quick. Let's see if I can get it started up. I'm gonna see if I can start it. But right now you do have a TD7 printing, okay? But at the same time, you're in a downtrend, right? This has not broken out at all. This is still in a downtrend, right? Nothing's really happened here. And if my page starts up, I can show you the cycles and why, you know, we're probably not at a bottom yet. I wouldn't get too excited. And that's why, you know, things are kind of dead in crypto land, because they are. On a daily chart, we are rallying a little bit, and it is still in an uptrend on a daily chart. See this? So on a daily chart, you are in an uptrend. On a weekly, you have a potential bottoming pattern. But if you look at the cycle analysis, so let me see if I can pull this up. Let's see. All right, so here's our cycle analysis. So this is a beta. Just ignore some stuff. It actually says beta here. But we're in the bear market right now. So if we look at the cycle, right? So we topped at the exact top point. So 3 out of 4 cycles topped literally right at the top point, and now we're in the bear. But for this cycle, we're only down 50%, while the other ones from the high, we're only down 50%, while the others were 87, 84, 78. Okay, so each one you can see is going down by about 6%. So that means for this cycle, it should be, you know, conservative is like 70%, right? And that's where these come in. But I'm gonna see about refining these. But you can see if we go just 67, that puts us at 41K. And I think I'm gonna plug this in where maybe I can enlarge the charts so that if I'm presenting in the future, I can show them a little bit better. But you can see all of this graph together and how every time it's the same. So right now we're in this downtrend, and we have a lot of time to go, all the way until here, which I want to show the date. So I just changed to the date, October, right? September, October. So this is going to be your accumulation bottom. It happens every time. And I've shown just that graph with projections of where price could go. And it projects all the way to like 26. I'm not saying that's going to happen. That seems crazy to me. But this is what the cycle shows. And we can go to like a year-to-date view. And you can see how this is the in-between, right? So we're in, this is right now. See this cyan line? We're here. And then this is like the estimate, the mean between the two. And it eventually ends up at a low of like 42K, 43K. That would be the midpoint. And then you get a bit of a pump, and then, but you don't really take off this year. Like there's nothing. It's just kind of flat. So this is the current cycle. It could flatline until May, maybe a little bit of pumps here or there. You had your early March pump that happened. See how every cycle that happens, and then it rolled over. So this is, I've got to refine this page. I think it can be better. If you guys have any thoughts, you can always message me on Discord with your opinion on how to improve it. But this is kind of what I'm doing for Bitcoin. We're not going to call it cycle scope. I don't know why it's called that. It's just going to be like Bitcoin cycle chart or something. And this is kind of trying to make the information easy to understand. But again, I think I can improve this. Yeah. Hopefully it seems useful / interesting. But I thought it was really cool to see all of this mapped together. Okay, so that's my third page. As you guys can tell, I've been very busy. Let's go back. In the short term, it looks like a bull, like it's trying to break higher. Where could you go? Well, potential is up to 88,000. It could break up to there. If we go to a little bit lower time frame here, like a 4-hour chart, so this would have been your breakout, right? And now we're moving higher. If you were long off this, you could take profits up here, 78.6, 72,000, and then it might roll over. That would be a good area to consider taking profits. If you're bullish, like really bullish, you could do like an ABCD here, right? And then you're going up to 77, 78, and then if we go up to 79, 80, you could probably, maybe there's some liquidity to take out there. I just wouldn't, I can't get too bullish on this until we cross over. I've talked about this a ton of many times about this weekly chart. And then there's also the cycle, right? And the capital rotation event. And capital rotation events they're not bullish for Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin's never experienced the capital rotation event. That also concerns me. So if that plays out, that's going to be a problem. Something else I wanted to show you is total divided by M2. Right? If we look at like total divided by M2, see how we're exactly where we were in 24 and we're exactly where we were in 2021 at the highs. Here we do have this divergence. RSI doesn't confirm it. You did have a breakdown. I don't know where I was going with that. Let me go back. I do want to show this total chart. Yeah, so total did break down right from this uptrend line. That's also not a good look. Oh, I remember what I wanted to show you. Okay, look at this. All right, you see this uptrend line? This has been like our uptrend channel ever since 2017. We could head lower. This would be like the low of this channel. As long as this is maintained, Bitcoin can head higher, and it can continue its like up moving trend. I don't know why this is running slow. The thing that concerns me though is really this capital rotation event. I don't know what could happen to Bitcoin in the event of if this continues to play out the way it has been, this thing, because this has never happened before. I don't even have Bitcoin on this chart because it's never, it's basically the same as stocks to me, and stocks have not rolled over at all, and Bitcoin's already tanked, right? So if stocks do something like in 2022, this could be a big problem, right? So that's the issue, right? And if gold has farther to run, that's also an issue, and that's my concern from a macro perspective. But on a lower time frame, like in the next couple of days and weeks, I think Bitcoin can rally, right? This looks like a little bit of a bottom area, although we're still down in a downtrend, and the weekly hasn't broken out. But you could get a pump up to here. Oh, I want to look at Bitcoin. What is going on? All right, there. Yeah, you can get a move 77 and then potentially all the way up here to 88 before rolling over again. There's potential for that move. Right, on a daily chart, it's still in a bullish uptrend. 4 hour, let's go even lower, broke out, right? You can go to a 1 hour, moving higher. You can see how they took out the low here. But you're going to run into resistance at 71. So yeah, you can trade this, but don't expect some like massive rally. It just doesn't, the probability of that happening is not in your favor. Yeah, that's really all I can say about that. Trying to see like if we could, yeah, so this points to 87 and then at 77. So that could happen. You could get a move like this and then something like this and then that last bit and then it rolls over again and then you get, this, some kind of range. That's possible because the liquidity is supportive. Hello, Min, welcome. There is support from, again, we go back to the chart. We have supportive liquidity that is there. It didn't drop off a cliff. Now, if the liquidity had dropped off a cliff and we're in the bear cycle, I would feel differently. But because you have some liquidity, that offsets the cycle and the macro. It changes everything. The central banks manipulating the system really messes with all of this. So for now, this is kind of what I'm seeing with Bitcoin, and what could possibly happen. And I'm leaning towards this in the short term. Over the long term, for the next 6 months to 9 months, I'm not thinking we're going to go to like all-time highs. The cycle has to play out a little bit more. But I'm too many people at the same time are talking about the cycle, so then I think like maybe it'll stop working. But for now, it seems to work, so I'm going to keep that in mind, and I wanted to show you guys, and you'll get weekly updates from our dashboard on this. Like everything I showed you here, this, I'm setting up custom Discord like cards that are going to be sent, notifications, but only maybe once a week. They're not going to be sent that often because I want them to seem important, and they'll be very simple, just for people who don't like to check sites and prefer to just get like a notification. Oh, you know what? Let's look at, so one coin popped up on my scanner today and it said to short it. Let's see, where did it say to short it? So it talked about ILV. Said that ILV was a short. Yeah, so this popped up at 3.85 right here. This popped up as a short. So if you were looking for a coin to trade, this popped up on the scanner. You can short it and then just close it according to your plan. Maybe it comes back right down here and you just close it there. It could, let me see, what can I make? You know, if you just short it here and it comes back down, you make like 8%. If you do 2x, 3x leverage, you can do like 25%. So that came up on the scanner as a short. So there's an example of our scanner and a free signal. And we'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, I'll look pretty bad. But to me, it looks like it could roll over here. You have a TD7. But this is not something you hold for long term, right? So some short like this is you're not holding this for more than 5 days. Okay, so don't hold it more than 5. You can take profit sooner if you want, but do not hold it like past March 15th. Okay, I don't want to hear complaints like, oh, I lost money on this coin, it went up after March 15th. And there's no guarantee. Like the win-loss on this is something like 57%, but usually the winners are a lot bigger than the losers. So it makes up for it, but there is, 40% chance this can be wrong. But to me, looking at the chart, looks like it could be a decent short. See the daily, yeah, daily, like this. Anyway, every week I'll talk about something that pops up on the scanner. Like I said, the long scanner is not, the stock scanner is not sending any signals right now because the stock market looks like crap. And it is long only. Short strategies in stocks don't work that well. They work in crypto, but in stocks they don't actually work that well, believe it or not. But crypto, we should keep getting some short signals, at least one per week, one to. It sent a lot before, but the last 2 weeks it hasn't sent many. I think it's a bit confused because the market's kind of in a state of confusion itself. Okay, those are my thoughts. Maybe we can look at oil really quick. I know a lot of people are talking about this. Okay, what is happening with oil? So interesting, oil hit a TD9. That's pretty crazy. It also broke out of this downtrend line. So that was broken. You see that breakout right here? You had a chance to get in. This was like 2 weeks to get in. And then you had this consolidation down here, right? Look at that W. So where does that point us to? Okay, so that's 4.669, 8.77, 16.88. Or back down from that, 32.99. I know you guys are paying attention to oil, so we want to look at a little bit more. 162 is an interesting target. Go to a monthly chart. Yeah, so oil has been in consolidation since 2006. This was the capital rotation event, by the way, 2022. See this? So you had down here, right, 60s, very cheap. Then you had the capital rotation event, 70s to 80s, and then you had a new price floor created, right, a new range. So if you this all ties together. Are you guys, like, my mind is exploding here with this. Like, even this, I didn't look at this that closely, but it's a big deal. Let me get I want to draw boxes. Here, okay. So here's one box, okay? Here's this box. There's not a lot of data back then in the 60s, but you can see the rise, right? Okay. And here's the current box, right? So those are your boxes, and in between those boxes are capital rotation events. So here from the low in 1999 up to 2008, that's your capital rotation event playing out. And then here from 73 to 80, that's also your capital rotation event playing out, right? And now it's like, okay, well, do we have the next capital rotation event? And the question is, how much from the low to the high do we move? So here it was 1,100%. Here it was 1,000%. So here, if we say this is the low, 2018, 2019, and we say 1,000%, it's about $200 a barrel. Okay, even though this low was weird, I wouldn't even count this. I would say something like $25 a barrel, and then you go up to 1,000%, which puts you around 250, 285, and if we go to our capital rotation event page, what does it say the estimate is for oil? Let's go to oil. So if 1972, the upside is 373, 2020 is 157, so that puts you right in between at like 280, right? So there's your 280. You can even go down here, and we can look at the chart here for oil. This makes no sense, these two, 600 and 2,000, but the conservative case is 250. I still have to refine this a bit, but 250 conservative target. Gold already hit the conservative target. Silver's was almost there until it rolled over, but 250 for oil. And if we look historically, right, 1,000, this says 7,000, but I think it's actually 1,000. I need to see about adjusting this. You can see how they all last for 10 years. We've got 2 years left. So that's the capital rotation effect where we will get to a new level. But you guys care about how to trade in the short term, right? So this broke out on a monthly chart, right? Look at this. This is not just like the Strait of Hormuz and all this stuff. America knew this was going to happen. Okay, he knew this was going to happen. Someone told him this is what's going to happen. Go and acquire all the oil sources. So that's why Venezuela happened. That's why Iran is happening. Iran is about, I think it's about oil. It's not about everything they're talking about. It's pretty obvious, right? The oil will continue higher. You're going to get a pullback, but eventually you're going to get a move higher until we get up to this like 180 level. You just got to time the move, right? So I wouldn't say this is over. It's going to go back to normal like Trump's talking about. I mean, look, there's a chance it could come back down and like quiet down, but eventually it's going to go back up here at 180, 200. It just has to, with what's happening with the capital rotation event. Oil is literally catching up. If we go back to here, right? And we look at like oils, you see where it is compared to the target versus gold and silver. It hasn't moved nearly as much. Okay. It needs to play catch up. Here, you can see it just finally started to play catch up to like the conservative target. Way behind. Okay. How can you trade this on even lower time frame? Yeah, so pullback. I would look for ways to buy the pullbacks. I wouldn't say that this is over. I would play this like how can I buy the pullbacks? Daily chart, TD7. You know, everyone's paying attention to oil now, so it needs to cool off. It needs to come down, and then once nobody's talking about it again, that's when you can buy in. Maybe let it come down 75, 80. Unless things escalate more, then maybe it takes off. But that's the news narrative, and you can't perfectly time that, really. But you can get the general. You know, just give yourself some breathing room. Don't do like a tight futures trade. Okay, that's all I've got. Hopefully that helps some people. I've been talking a very long time, so I think I'm going to call it. It's been about an hour, and hopefully you guys you learned something. And then for people who are members of TRI, you will be seeing this on the site very soon. All of this, and you are welcome to give feedback, complaints. Yeah, so these two tools should be on the site in the next 24 to 48 hours. Like Sjord has them. He just has to make them live. So capital rotation and macro index will be live, and the Discord rooms I will set up maybe tomorrow with the alerts. But these are long time frame. Like this is not going to flip tomorrow or something. But you could play with them, of course. I want to refine a few things with this. Like I noticed something off with these oil prices. This is just a little bit too crazy. So I want to double check some of this data. I want it to be 100% accurate. I don't want it to be wrong, because it'll also make me lose money because I'm using all of this stuff. And I want to fix up the Bitcoin cycle thing. I want to double check these cycle lows. I want to see if I can adjust this chart, like have it a button to like expand to be bigger. I had another thing for like 0 DTE options and looking at flows and stuff like that, but once you extrapolate and look at that over a year to 2 years, you'll see that it's not that accurate actually. So I threw it out. Maybe I'll come back to it later, but I threw it out. The scanners are ready to go, right? They're running, they're set up, they're running live, so sending signals. They're actually auto trading for me on my crypto account. So I've got my scanners auto trading. So whenever a signal fires, my account auto takes the trade. But I will see. So it won't be difficult to push it out to the members. It's just kind of how do we want to structure the Discord and set all of that up. So we just need to do that. But there's I'm already testing it. I have my own private Discord room where I'm testing the signals. I wonder if I can show you quickly. Yeah, so I guess I can. So there's some little bugs that I want to fix. Let me just make sure there's nothing here that everything I'm okay to show. Yeah, so you can see, so this is, for example, a bug. It said long ILD, but actually it's a short. I know it's a short because it says certain things that I know only shorts are supposed to say. And then you can see it failed to set the leverage on my trade. It was supposed to be 2x, and for some reason it failed, so I have to fix that. But I'm just having it send these signals here to test. And once I'm confident that all the signals being sent make sense, then I will push it to the live site. But right now, I'm still fixing a few minor issues. But the signal engine is fine. Confident in that. It's just like, how do I make sure to present it perfectly? Yeah, so 3 different pages. Plus, I will make a page for the scanner. The scanner will have a page, so you can look at all the previous signals. I have like a year of signals you can look at to see how they did. And then, of course, I'll put like a warning. Okay, a lot of this is on back-tested data. It's not been forward tested. Use it at your own risk. All the pages have, like, this page doesn't have it yet, but all the pages have like, not financial advice. Updated here. Updated. I put like, maybe I have to fix this to show the time. Here it needs to have the time. But I'll make a page for the scanners, so you have all that. So this is like the new modernized TRI. Hopefully you guys find it useful and you like it. These 2 you'll definitely see very soon. This one, subject to change, take it with a grain of salt. Feel free to message me with any feedback, and I can see about changing or incorporating different things. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Be careful if you're trading oil futures, and even the stock market, right? That's hanging by a thread. Looks like they had their rally. Maybe they'll roll it over now. No, maybe. Not gonna make it easy, that's for sure. It probably happens in after hours. Okay, see you guys in the Discord, and I will talk to you later. Bye, everybody.